The Hangar Z Podcast welcomes retired Los Angeles Police Department SWAT Sergeant Chuck Buttitta. You are one of those people that made it to 20 David. It's a small club. In the history of LAPD SWAT, there's 10, maybe, we think, approximately people that have held that position. Describe 20 David's position and then tell us about the badge tradition.
So the 20 David position is pretty much the lead sergeant. There's a badge that all the 20 Davids wears currently. The badge is number 4154. And for LAPD SWAT, that's a very significant set of numbers.
In this 3-episode series, we're honored to sit down with retired LAPD SWAT veteran Sergeant Chuck Buttitta. Over the course of 4 decades, Chuck was a true customer of law enforcement aviation units, working alongside air crews in countless ways. His career path spanned patrol, narcotics, SWAT operator, sniper, SWAT supervisor, and even search and rescue in retirement. Chuck's distinguished service is marked by numerous accolades, including the Medal of Valor, 2 police stars, the Police Commission Unit Citation, the Police Meritorious Unit Citation, 2 Bureau Commendations, more than 150 minor commendations, the 2009 Top Cop Award, and in retirement, the Ventura County Citizen Medal of Merit for an ice snow rescue that Chuck was part of. Chuck joins us to share the customer's perspective on aviation support, particularly during SWAT and K-9 operations. It's a critical conversation because aviation units exist to serve and protect those on the ground, our officers, deputies, troopers, agents, and ultimately the communities we all safeguard. In episode 3, we shift to a topic deeply important to both Chuck and this podcast: remembering our fallen officers. Chuck reflects on how remembrance must go beyond words and into action. One powerful example is the Police Unity Tour, which both Chuck and Jack participated in many times. We'll talk about how this life-changing experience honors those we've lost, how you can get involved, and why carrying their memory forward is one of the most meaningful things we can do. We hope you enjoy this conversation as much as we did. Thank you again to all our sponsors and followers. We appreciate you very much. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave us a review. Thank you to our sponsors: Metro Aviation Incorporated, Canyon Aero Connect, and Airbus.
Welcome to the Hangar Z Podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts. The Hangar Z Podcast is the first and only podcast dedicated to promoting and exploring the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation.
Still southbound, skidding to a stop. Stand by here. Looks like they're getting ready to bail. Heads up, guys, bailing. Okay, the guy, he's running through the house, jumping the fence, threw the shotgun, threw something out. Grabbing the shotgun. Don't go over that fence. Don't go over that fence. Grab the shotgun again. He is armed. Stay there. Hold your position.
It's time for your Heli Life giveaway buzzword. Listen up and remember this word because you'll need it to enter for a chance to win exclusive Heli Life gear. Ready? This episode's buzzword is scent. Visit contest.verticalhelicasts.com to enter the buzzword.
Chuck, I want to thank you again for all the insight you've given us on the SWAT side of the world. You know, again, wanting to give insight to the air crews as to what our customers want and need. Your insight was gold there. You did talk about Randy Simmons a bit, and it did highlight, you know, a lot of what we do in law enforcement is difficult for a lot of reasons. And I think the most difficult part of any law enforcement officer's career or public safety personnel's career is dealing with line of duty deaths. It's horrible. You guys, you and Jack have both been a part of an organization that your goal is to honor these folks who've paid the ultimate sacrifice. Can you guys talk about what you guys are doing through the Police Unity Tour and how that is working to not only honor the folks that have paid the ultimate sacrifice, but to raise awareness, to benefit the family members that still stand with us today and all the good things that go with the Police Unity Tour?
Go ahead, Chuck. Run with that. To explain, why don't you tell us about the Police Unity Tour for those that don't know even what it is? Because you and I were both in that boat. We didn't know what it was or that it even existed. So maybe start with just tell us about what is the Police Unity Tour?
So in Washington, D.C., there's a memorial for fallen law enforcement officers in Judicial Square. The Police Unity Tour is a group that raises funds for bringing awareness for line of duty deaths in law enforcement and to raise funds for that memorial, because it is a privately funded memorial in Washington, D.C. And I had the opportunity to be a part of the Police Unity Tour for 15 years. What it is a group of officers that go to different parts of the East Coast at the beginning of National Police Week. They meet. There's currently eight different chapters, 4 different routes that our groups ride to the memorial in Washington, D.C. over various states. For Chapter 7, where Jack and I were members, we start in Somerset, New Jersey. And when Jack and I first started, we were at 150 plus officers that rode together. Now that number this year, in the last couple of years, have been 400 officers riding the Chapter 7 route. And we pull in members not only from Southern California, Northern California, Hawaii, Western states, Oregon, Washington. We even have members on our chapter from New Jersey and other states, Louisiana and Illinois. We all meet in Somerset, New Jersey with our bicycles. We do a coordination safety brief. Then we ride what is day one is a warm-up ride around the New Jersey area. It's about 40 miles. Day 2 is 85 miles. We ride from Somerset, New Jersey to Philadelphia. Spend the night in Philadelphia. Day 2, we take off from Philadelphia. We go to Inner Harbor, Baltimore, which is about 110 miles. And then the last day, we go from Baltimore to RFK Stadium in D.C., where we meet these other chapters. So our 400 riders come together. We meet the other chapters. At that point, we're about 2,200 or so strong, and we ride past the Capitol, past the Supreme Court, down to Judicial Square, to our memorial. And is usually jammed packed with families and friends. The memorial is outfitted in pictures and cards and memorabilia, pretty much like you talked about in your episode 214, I think it was.
Yep.
With
Craig
Floyd.
Yeah.
And we present our donation check to the memorial so that it can continue to run till the next year. We've raised somewhere in the area of $38 million, the Police Unity Tour has, for that memorial since it's the inception of the tour. And it's a fantastic opportunity to build camaraderie between law enforcement officers throughout the United States. We've had international units come and ride with us from Great Britain, from Israel, and they've started their own rides back in their country. And it's a fantastic organization. It's a fantastic cause. Why we do it? Raise awareness, raise funds. We do it to remember. We want to remember those that have lost their lives in law enforcement. We do it for the family members, so to let them know and feel comfortable that we are a family, we support them, we'll do whatever we can to make their life more comfortable. We'll never be able to fill the shoes of that fallen officer, but we can let them know that they're part of our family, we're part of their family, we'll do whatever we can for it. And then the last part, it's for the current officers, so that they have the comfort and knowledge that if something was to happen to them, their family's not going to be on the outskirts.
Mm-hmm.
That there's going to be someone there to help their family, help them grieve, help them for the future.
Love that. I remember early days in the academy, the swearing in process, administrators, leaders talking about how we're a family in law enforcement and how if something like this were to take place, we would be there to take care of your family. And what you're talking about is an illustration of how that's actually true. Those aren't empty words. Those are promises that we make to anybody who wears the badge, that we're going to stand by you regardless of what happens. And if you're happy and healthy in retirement, that's amazing. If you unfortunately lose your life in the line of duty, we're going to stand by you and your family. Love to hear about the good things that our community does to support and promote that fellowship, that brotherhood, that sisterhood. Just being a part of this community is very meaningful, and I think that's a good illustration of that. I've been to DC twice, and going to DC the first time, I went to the Law Enforcement Officers Memorial, and it was June-ish. There was some remnants of some of the things that people had left behind, family members, during the month of May, during the week that folks make the pilgrimage to the memorial and honor their family members that have fallen. But the most impactful time was the second time that we had a chance to go there through the Blades of Valor tour. Me and Jack and Brent Bundy had an opportunity to go, and this is during police week, and family members are moving about. There's these remnants of memorial pieces that people left behind, and it was a really moving experience for me. During that time there, we also got to take a flight with the U.S. Parks Police, and they flew us throughout DC, and it was interesting as we're flying around the Lincoln Memorial. There's a group of cyclists there, and we're like 50 feet off the water, almost eye to eye with these folks, and like, oh, that's really cool. And I think, Jack, you had taken a year or two off at this point. And I remember you saying and expressing how much you loved the Unity Tour, and you had wanted to do it again, to ride another year, and you just did that. Can you talk about the tour, what it means to you, and what this last year was like for you?
It was a big part of life for a while. I go back to when I started it. It was 2009 was my first one. And I just think about that. And I rode for Randy Simmons. His name was going on the wall that year. And I had 41 David on my bicycle. And I remember that very vividly. And so it impacted me in a big way, because I was riding for somebody that I had a whole lot of respect for, and just that made it special. And then you got hooked. You got hooked. And then this last time, when I retired, 2016 was my last one. And then years later, I hear that Chuck's going to do his last ride, and Bob Bloor is going to do his last ride, and a bunch of the Jersey boys are going to do their last ride. And I went, I got to go back for that, even though it's going to hurt, and it did. I was not nearly in the condition that I was for the earlier rides. It was very tough, but I'm so glad I did it. This past May was really, really special, and it was unique. And I had a whole new respect for the ride and the riders and the people that work hard to do it. And a lot of it was because those used to be the 3 easiest days of the year for me cycling. I mean, those were no problem. That was not the case this year. So, and that's, I really related to the majority of the riders are not out there cycling year round, and how much you suffer, but it's good suffering, because the reward is so great. I mean, I know we're going to talk about arriving to the wall, and there's nothing like that. Chuck described it. There are thousands of people there, and they're greeting you and honoring you as you ride into that wall. And it's just, there are kids and family members and survivors, and it's overwhelming. And I can't even describe it, to tell you the truth, because it's just, it's what brings you back. I think Chuck will agree. When you come into that wall, all that sweat, all that pain, all that riding in the rain, all of a sudden it's freezing cold, all the misery and the stuff that's people say, oh, that sounds awful. No, it's actually wonderful, because your pain is temporary, and the sacrifice of the people that you're riding for and honoring at that wall, and the families that have to survive without them, are pain. A little bit of rain and a little bit of leg pain doesn't compare to that. It's not even on the same planet. So it's addicting. I mean, Chuck got addicted. He did it a lot longer than I did. He couldn't walk away, but it grabs you, and it's because of the emotion.
John, you brought up that in the academy that we talk about how we'll never forget, and we say that for a lot of things, for 9/11 and so forth. For a person like me, and I think Jack, we say we never will forget, but we're doers. We want to do something. And that's what the Unity Tour allows us to do. It allows us to take that thought and put it into actions. No matter whether you're an officer who's experienced a partner, a friend, or just somebody that you've had contact with on your department, or even another department, this gives you the ability to actually do something to make a difference, to show that support. Don't just say it, walk the walk.
Yeah.
And the Unity Tour gives you that ability. And it's not, like Jack mentioned, it's not that you have to be a bicycle rider that has ridden, like Jack and I used to be with riding, 4,000 or 5,000 miles a year.
Yep.
It's somebody that dedicates themselves to go out, get in a decent condition, get a decent bike, and join us. It's way more than just pedaling that bicycle.
It is.
In fact, pedaling the bicycle is really secondary. Once you do it, you'll see it.
Yeah.
I mean, we all need to be in a position where we're trying to physical or trying to better our physical body, right? That's a huge part of our ability to pass our annual medicals and all that stuff. But to do that in combination, in conjunction with the way to honor the fallen is huge. For somebody who might say, that's really interesting to me, but I have no idea where to even start. Where does someone start with this desire to do what you're talking about, Chuck? Is it going to a website? What do local rides look like as you build towards this goal? What does that look like for somebody?
Thank you to our sponsor, Precision Aviation Group. Mission-critical operators and fleet managers rely on Precision Aviation Group as a worldwide leading rotor and fixed-wing MRO provider. PAG provides tip-to-tail solutions in 4 MRO segments: avionics, components, engines, and manufacturing DER services. A single point of contact gives you access to over 150 million in inventory globally, 24/7. Just call 800-537-2778. Precision Aviation Group. Others sell parts. We sell support.
Well, the first thing I would do is find out whether your department already puts together, if there's some riders that are on the Police Unity Tour, no matter what chapter it is. If they don't and you can't find anybody, plug in Police Unity Tour in Google and you'll find all the different chapters. Pick one. If you're in some other state besides Los Angeles, you are more than welcome to come and join Chapter 7. If you want to join Chapter 4, Chapter 1 is the chapter that is back east out of New Jersey and New York. There's chapters everywhere. And not every chapter has a ride. Each chapter kind of combines with one of the 4 routes. And you can see what the requirements are. And there's fun. You have to be able to fundraise and raise so much based on that year, what it is. You join there's usually a fee to join, like Chapter 7, there's a $150 fee to join the chapter. And then for the year that you're riding, the current rate is somewhere around $2,200, $2,300 that you need to raise. And that's where you hit up your friends and family, other officers, And there's all kinds of ways to fundraise. And, Jack and I have sweated it for years. I've done it for 15 years, and every year it was a sweat. Every single person in Chapter 7 that rides has to raise that funds. Even our support people, the people
Yep.
that cut the sandwiches, that go around with the trash cans. Those are all people, because we're not there to do it to give free positions. We want to make sure that memorial is up and running and in good physical condition for the next generation.
Yeah.
Because as you mentioned with that memorial is the only memorial in Washington, D.C. that continues to grow.
Yep.
We add names every year.
Yeah. That's the harsh truth in reality that we face as an
And
industry.
it's important to note right here that Police Unity Tour is a 501c3 tax deductible donation, and that helps people too. Where people want to say, well, I can donate to a good cause and it's a tax deduction. Hey, that's great. That helps some people, get that donation, and it is challenging at times raising that money, but it's worth it. It's when you see what it goes to and you experience it, you go, man, that was worth all the headaches trying to get $2,300. I didn't like bugging friends and family and coworkers, but I did. And once they heard my experiences from there and asked about it and say, well, what did you do? What's it like? They were like, I'm glad I donated. And there was people that donated to me every single year, the same people, and said, hey, you going to do that again? I'd like to donate to that again. And it just grows. People hear about it, and it just grows with the number of participants. Like Chuck said, 150 to 400. That's a huge group. That's one chapter. Managing 400 riders going the route that Chuck described is no easy feat. And, some of that money goes to the hotel rooms and the trucks and gasoline and meals and things like that. But a lot of it ends up in the hands of the memorial.
For our chapter, for Chapter 7, out of that $2,300, $1,000 for each rider goes to the memorial. The remaining funds goes to 5 days of hotels, breakfast and lunch each day. Dinner, you're usually on your own in the city. It goes for the rental vehicles that we need, the trucks, transportations. It is a huge logistics nightmare. And for our chapter, the blessings that we have had with Gil and Terry Curtis, who have taken the primary job of running this chapter, they are very special people. They spend year-long working on it. The rest of the folks that are on the board of directors, as I was, and the operations side of it, pretty much work for about 8 months putting everything together. So you don't have, and I just want to emphasize, you don't have to be a bicyclist to ride this. You need to be, we will set you up with helping you find a bike that'll fit you, get that bike equipped, give you some education on training, how to train, because it's not something where you just buy the bike the week before and hop on it and think you're going to ride, because you will, and you'll be miserable. So you go out and put some miles in, get used to that bike, and then all of a sudden you'll realize that when you're riding, you're conversing with the people around you. Next thing you know, you've done 30, 40, 50 miles.
Talk about the training and the benefit of, I'm assuming that each chapter has like a training regimen that they do together, optional group rides and that kind of thing. Does that exist?
Yes. So there's various training rides that you can go on. There's people that'll help you with training, specifically our chapter. There's a gentleman by the name of Craig White, who has been the trainer or we call him the coach for our chapter. He has a tremendous skill and ability. The dedication that he has to getting you in the right position. We go on these training rides. We'll have them in different parts of LA. The Los Angeles Police Department bicycle team has joined the Police Unity Tour, and they put on training rides, and we call them no-drop rides. So there's somebody around to help you. We go together as a group, and I just want to paint the picture too. We ride as a peloton. So when we're riding in DC for the Unity Tour, we ride all together. It's not like going out on a Century ride where you get a route sheet and it tells you to make a left here or right there and so forth. No, we guide you the whole way.
Motor escort. Motor escort.
No
stop signs, no red lights. The motors are stopping traffic, and you just ride two abreast for that whole thing. It is heaven. You just the only time you stop is for breaks, and there's food waiting for you.
Yeah. We'll present the training to you. It's your job to accept it and get some time on the bike. And not, my beef is it's not just the trainer sitting in your house. You need to actually get on the road and get used. And then we put on a annual training ride in Los Angeles, where we go from Los Angeles up to Ventura. We do an 85-mile ride, spend the night there, and then we do a ride back to LA about 85 miles along Pacific Coast Highway when the fire has it open.
When it's not on fire.
So the training is there. You just have to dedicate yourself for the fundraising and the training, and then getting yourself back to New Jersey, and we'll take it from there. We, Gil, Terry, and I, and the other board directors, we have a mantra. We're putting a show on. We're putting an event on, and of course, I'm prejudiced. We have Chapter 7 has the best organization, the best route, and the nicest hotels of any of the other chapters that ride.
Yep. I think that's a challenge to the other ones. They're going to try and step that up. Yeah. I remember.
Good luck to them. They'll never catch it.
I remember talking to Jack, and he talked about the logistics involved in detail, and it's mind blowing, the logistics that are involved, from the timing of everything to the shipment of the equipment from point A to point B, and everything in between. You talked about the fundraising. Can you talk? So you brought up, you raise the money, and a certain amount of money of that goes to the lodging and the food. Outside of the money that's fundraised, how much would somebody expect to spend out of pocket once they've made the decision to go?
It's really only airfare. Whatever the airfare is from where you are to get back to the East Coast. Some teams drive. Some teams, rent a trailer and bring their bikes out that way. We're fortunate. We have some corporate supporters, FedEx being one of them, Target, that FedEx has helped with shipping the bikes from Los Angeles. So we usually ship 150, 200 bikes or so. And then we have all the bikes coming in from different areas. So really only looking at the airline cost. If you want to go before, sometimes we get people that want to go before and go into New York City to kind of vacation or stay longer in DC, then those hotels are on you. The Unity Tour usually takes care of the hotels from May 8th through the 14th.
Okay.
The Police Unity Tour the National Police Week is always held the same time in May. And the Police Unity Tour, no matter what day it falls on, starts with a warm-up ride on the 9th, ride on the 10th, 11th, and 12th. When we get into DC on the 12th, we get into the memorial, we do the check presentation. On the 13th is the candlelight vigil. We'll talk about that probably in a little bit. And on the 14th is when we stop paying for the hotel and you have to check out. A lot of departments have an honor guard that stays for the 15th, which is the Capitol presentation for the families. And that is not covered by the Unity Tour. So if you're staying to the 15th, you need to work on either going through your department or you're on your own for a hotel room the night of the 14th and 15th and whatever you want to stay. DC is a great place to visit. Even better the last couple of weeks, I understand.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to if you're going to take the time to go there and be a part of this, you have to stay and see what DC has to offer from a historian standpoint, from, just being a citizen of the country. It's a great place to be in and understand some of the larger pieces of our history and see firsthand these things that were made. But, we talk about the importance of remembering our fallen. In that same spirit, we're also honoring the folks that stand by, the family members that are still here with us today. And you talk about riding into the city, being escorted by motor units, and then arriving at the memorial. And I envision a scene where you've got survivors that are there, family members that are there, and you're hearing them talk about the impact of these things. Can you talk about the emotion, the what you experience riding in, and kind of what that scene is like once you get there?
John, we have survivors that ride with us on the tour.
Every
They
year.
find out about the Unity Tour, they commit themselves, whether it be a spouse or a child, a parent, and they ride the tour with us. And we don't make a big deal about that survivor. We all know we have survivors in our peloton. But it's unbelievable how they are supported, and they'll mention that they're a survivor. Generally, a couple of us know who they are because we want to make their path as memorable and as easy as possible. But hearing their stories, seeing their emotions, it's tremendous. I almost want to say it's healing. You will never replace a lost person, whether it's a fallen law enforcement officer or somebody that's close to you. You'll never have full closure on that. However, when I said talking is one thing, walking the walk is the other, for them, riding the bike is that walking. We've had brothers, we've had friends who have ridden the bike, and talking to them, sometimes they will open up, and it's their choice if that's a healing measure for them. Going into the memorial, the first people into the memorial each year are the survivors that have ridden with us. They're the first bikes that go in, and they're met obviously by their families. They get to see it. The emotions, it happens to me every single year. It's like, I'm thinking, well, should I do it another year? Should I do it? And then I ride into that. For me, I get a chill. Doesn't matter if it's hot or cold or whatever, I get a chill when I ride up onto that curb and start to do that circle around there. It's like, it's worth it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is totally worth it. I want to talk about one other thing that we do. I started this a while back when we're riding, Jack and I have these friends that we call them the New Jersey boys, where we met, and we love these guys. They are jokesters. This is not a solemn 4-day ride. I mean, it is not solemn. It is communicating, it's having fun, it's supporting, and we play a lot of practical jokes. If you know the person, everybody's got a kind of a nickname or a tag on you for something that you've done, or whatever, kind of like other traditions. But these people all feel the same. So one year I decided, every 25 miles, we have a break. So we'll ride approximately 25 miles. We'll stop someplace and we have hydration, food, mechanical support, because we get a lot of that. And I use a PA system to update people on things, especially if there's weather coming or, hey, the next stop is this far away. It's going to take us about this long and so forth. But I wanted to do more. I wanted to bring it back. And so I started a program called Why We Ride. And what Why We Ride is for anybody, a survivor or just a anybody on the Unity tour to get on the microphone and talk about a specific person that they're writing for. And what I tell them is, I don't want to just know the details of their death. I want to know how they lived. So for an example, I talk about, one of the people that I ride for, Dewey Johnson, the first officer to be killed when I was on the job that I actually worked with. And Dewey was a Midwest individual who came to the big city. He kind of had that twang, and he was just a crack up. He was a great person to work with. And I worked that PED unit with him, the Prostitution Enforcement Detail, and we had plain cars. Dewey shows up one day with a bubblegum light for on top of the car. And we just had a blast working together. He was so much fun. He had a great personality. And then unfortunately, he was killed in a robbery years down the line. But I talk about that. And I want to bring up that the last thing that I have the people read, and I give them a little card, and it goes like this: I write for Dewey Johnson and the 24,600 names that are on the Law Enforcement Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. Let's ride.
When every second counts, trust Night Flight Concepts to keep you mission ready. With advanced night vision technology, FAA certified repair services, and expert training, we've got your six. Visit nightflightconcepts.com to learn more.
Let me add a Dewey Johnson story. I didn't know Dewey, but he was the first police officer killed in the line of duty after I came on the job. The very first one, 12/19/84. And my first Unity tour in 2009, it started in Norfolk, Virginia. And I was at the hotel with, of all people, the now chief, Jim McDonnell, Haggerty, Yvette. We're just hanging out at the hotel. And a guy comes up to us and says, "Hey, where's the LAPD people?" We go, "Hey, that's us." And he comes over and he says, "How you doing?" And he pulls up his sleeve of his shirt, and there is an LAPD badge there. And below it, it says Dewey Johnson. It was his twin brother. He came up. He just came up out of nowhere. He's not involved with the ride. He's just at the hotel looking for the LAPD people. And I remember how that hit me. It's like, oh my gosh, that was the first officer killed when I came on the job. And that was a terrible shootout, close quarters at a tiny jewelry store in Chinatown. It was awful. Rainy night. I mean, just awful. And here's his twin brother searching for us to thank us for honoring him. Boy, oh boy, what a way. That was the night before the first day of the ride. Talk about motivation. That was amazing. I'll never forget it. Never forget it.
Jack, talk about, in kind of contrast, the first time you did the ride and you end up, at the memorial, at the conclusion of the ride, with the last time you did it. It's just this year.
Yep. The first time is unique. I think Chuck would agree that the first time is really, really impactful. I mean, to the point where there's tears always, on the first one. There's tears all the time, but I mean, it was extra where you feel like, wow, you're just releasing this energy. But the first time I remember vividly, and I think I talked to Craig Floyd about it when we interviewed him at the wall, is I came in and I had been to the wall before, but I'd never ridden in, and I'd never been there during police week. And I just remember riding in and going, wow, this is the side that Abe Barone is on. And Abe was my classmate killed in the line of duty. And I knew about where his name was. And so I'm just looking down at the wall. And John, it was hard to find names when you know where they are.
Yeah.
It just is. You know it's on a certain panel, a certain line, and it's hard to find the name. That time, I'm coming in, tears are running down my face, and I look over to the wall going, hey, Abe's name is in this area here. And boom, I see it. I mean, vividly, there's Abe's name, Abiel Barone. And I didn't think a lot about it at the time. It hit me, it struck me and everything. But then later, when I went back and couldn't find it, when I'm on my feet walking up and I couldn't find his name, it really hit me that was special. That was really special. And it's, every time I went in there, it was emotional. This last time, a little extra, because I knew I wasn't going to do the ride part ever again. And it's special when you're riding through that. I mean, remember, Chuck told you, it's 2,000 plus riders. Much of that ride between RFK and the memorial, you're walking. I mean, you're pushing your bike because it's so backed up. But then once you get to Judiciary Square and you get to the memorial, boom, you get back on the bike and you ride very slowly through the memorial. And by the way, the motors eventually do that too. The motors ride through the memorial. That's emotional too, to watch that. But you'll see people survivors officers and it just hits you. It just hits you. And it's hard to describe, but Chuck said it, I'll say it, it's what it's all about. It just brings it all together. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I raised that 2,300. That's why I went to all this trouble and training and sweat, and it's worth it. You just feel it. And that's what gets you to come back the next year. That last feeling at that wall motivates you to do it again. No doubt.
Yes.
Yeah, the power that wall has is indescribable.
Yeah.
Really challenge folks to, at some point in your life and your career, make the trek to DC and go to that wall and spend some time there. It's really important. The perspective that I think it brings is important to talk about. Chuck, for you, when you think of your first time, can you talk about the perspective that you brought back that impacted your career, whether it was realizing the impact maybe it had on families in a line of duty death, or any perspective that it may have given you after that first visit?
So the way that I got to find out about the Police Unity Tour was I was on the incident where Randy Simmons was killed. And then I was lucky enough to be able to go back to Washington, D.C. that following year for when his name was going to be put on the wall, and his wife and family were going to be supported by cops who concerned for police officers were there. So I was on the honor guard and honor platoon, and Don, the supervisor who ran that, said, okay, we're going over to the memorial today, Don Schwartzer, and watch the Unity Tour come in. I'm like, okay, I don't know what it is, but let's go. We get over to the memorial with a group of us, and I'm just taken back with it's the first time I've seen the memorial with all these signs and kids and trinkets and doors and helmets that are there and the flowers. And the Unity Tour comes in and I see these bicyclists, and I was like, wow, hey, that's kind of cool. And they're all in uniform. They're all wearing the same thing. Black pants, the blue jersey. And I look over and I see Jack Shanley riding in. Hey, Jack, blah, blah, blah. We talk. And then afterwards I said, what is this? And he tells me about it. Well, it happened to be a point in my life where I was a runner since 5th grade. And I was really getting tired of running in, my latter years. And I always rode a bike, kind of goofed around type thing, but I never really rode a bike, seriously. Jack told me about it. I says, I think I'm interested in that. So I went to the first meeting, and I was welcomed by Jack, by Gil, and some of the other members of the team. And Gil's a great guy. He made too big of a deal about me being there. And I really felt at home, and I felt welcomed. And I said, yeah, I'll do this. So I found somebody in D team that was a bike rider, and he sold me a bike and so forth. But when I rode the first year, you asked about training. Jack Shanley and Bob Blur used to have training up near their house up in Santa Clarita, and I live in Ventura. So I'd go up there on the weekend, and they would take me out on a training ride and, hurt me. and learned what I had to do and so forth. And one way or another, during the first year, I'd never ridden it before. Somehow or another, they made me a bike marshal, and the marshals kind of hang out on the outside and tell, hey, get back in line, don't do this, do that, or whatever. And I had a blast at it. And then that following year, I was asked to be the lead rider. And going into the memorial the first time, even though I was there with Jack, it was like, holy cow, this is special. Just like Jack says, all the work, all the, the soreness, the money spent on the bike, the money spent on the seat, and, leg warmers and shoes and all that kind of stuff. Rain gear.
Well, you shouldn't have gone through so many seats. Chuck tried more bike seats than anyone I've ever known.
I finally
found what he loves.
Everything was worth it. And when I saw, I have a mantra about the people that I ride for. On my bike, and a lot of riders do this. They'll put pictures or sayings, patches on their bike, or you're able to put a patch on the back of your jersey, one patch, for the people that you're riding for. So it's smaller, but these are the people that I ride for.
There's Dewey Johnson in the black and white photo there.
Dewey Johnson right up
Louis.
at the top, Randy Simmons.
RJ, Chuck.
Yep. Joe Rios, Jim Pagliotti.
Yep.
Louis Villalobos, who died in a SWAT training accident. Chuck Heim, who died in Hollywood. And then his name is not on the wall, even though Jack and I have fought and continue to try and get RJ Cottle's name on the wall. He died in Afghanistan. And hopefully someday we'll be able to succeed and get his name on the wall, because he was acting as a law enforcement officer, as a representative for the Los Angeles Police Department. So on my bike, I have that. And these are the people I specifically ride for. There's 236 LAPD officers that have been killed in the line of duty. During my 31 years, 45 officers were killed. Of those 45, 7 I worked with. That's why I ride.
And again, going back to the earlier statement of the hardest part of our profession is navigating what you just talked about. The emptiness, that the voids that get created in the heart as a result of those incidents is indescribable. And to have a way to honor those folks in a positive way is great. So I think it's good for the mind and the body and the soul to participate in these kinds of events for those reasons. Earlier, you guys mentioned the candlelight vigils, and I remember talking to Craig Floyd, and as Jack interviewed him, talking about the power and the candlelight vigils. Can you guys talk about what that event is like and how impactful that is?
Well, it used to be that the candlelight vigil was at the memorial. A few years ago, a museum was built next to the memorial, and we weren't able to have the candlelight vigil there because of the construction. A law enforcement museum was built there, and that's something to see also while you're back there for the memorial. So they moved it to the mall, to the mall in DC, between the Capitol and the Lincoln Memorial. And it actually, I was opposed to it at first. But then after the first one, and the number of people that I saw there and the effect that we had, all the law enforcement officers there, quite a number of them, each department is represented by a uniform group, will line up there. All the participants from the Unity Tour, the families, the friends, the thousands and thousands and thousands of people that are there for National Police Week all meet, and they go through a roll call of all the names that they're putting on the wall that year. they do it by state and by alphabetical order. So usually a representative from that state will stand up and go through those names. A great example and something I'm always impressed with is the Los Angeles Police Department, the honor platoon that is there. Our motivation as an honor platoon is to be up front and center every single year in uniform, Class A, no matter the weather. No rain caps, no umbrellas. You stand there if it's raining. And when California's names are read, they stand and salute. And it's so impressive. Following the names being read, they light candles. And everybody has a candle, and it flows from the stage all the way to the back. And the stories that they tell in between, it is super emotional. It's super supporting. I've had the fortune of knowing a couple of family members. And in fact, this year, a close friend of ours got me in contact with a close friend of theirs whose son died from COVID and it was considered an on-duty death based on the way that he caught the disease. And his name was placed on the wall. And I got to spend time with his mom and dad at the memorial this year when we rode in, after we rode in, and at the candlelight vigil, and, walked around DC with them. And they were so impressed. And the feeling that they had, were so thankful to recognize that we cared and other people care for their loss and their son.
Thanks to our sponsor, Traca Systems. With over 25 years delivering groundbreaking searchlights, stabilized EO/IR cameras, mission mapping, and downlinking solutions, Traca products improve situational clarity and coordination with ground crews, increasing mission safety and effectiveness. Visit tracasystems.com. See clearly, act decisively.
That's great. That was perfectly described, Chuck. And I'll just add one thing. Is that when you're at the candlelight, and this was really true when it was at the memorial, the buses just keep coming up. And the buses are filled with survivors. It's the kids, the wives, the husbands, the parents, the grandparents of the fallen from that year. Their names are going on that year. And those are and the buses go on for an hour or more. They just come up and people are just coming off this, and it's all the survivors. It's hard to watch. But each time that they come off the bus, there are officers in uniform from all over the country that stand there and escort them to their seats. And they hand the survivor a rose, and then they escort them, walk them to their seats. I did that one year. I think it might have been my first or second year. I did it with Rob Stober, one of the Jersey boys. And Rob, he does it every year. And I decided to do it. That was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. I only escorted like 3 people up because there's, hundreds of officers volunteering to do it. It was unbelievably difficult because you're dealing with family members in their worst year of their life. And now they're there at the memorial for their loved one's name going on. It's unbelievable. The buses impacted me on my first candlelight. I'll never forget that. What are these buses here? Like, this is going to go on for about an hour. They just line up as far as you can see down the street. There's buses filled with survivors. And it really makes you realize the impact of on the families, not just the coworkers and not just their friends, but the families, the kids. The kids, it's heartbreaking. This year, at the very end of the Capitol ceremony, Bruce Hunt and I are standing there, and we're watching the families come out after the Capitol ceremony. And a tradition there is that LAPD and Chicago PD line up and make a gauntlet of where all the families walk. And the last thing they see after this memorial is LAPD, and now LA sheriffs joined it too, and Chicago, and saluting them. And I'll never forget this year, Bruce and I are standing there right behind Chief McDonald, and there was a group, there was like a family, and there were 3 kids, and people were handing them coins and patches, and they were smiling. And I just think, wow, how lucky are we that we made it?
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful. Bruce and I are standing there like 2 little kids bawling. Powerful.
Well, it humanizes the sacrifice that our colleagues have made. You know, you see or hear somebody's name on the news that lost their life in the line of duty, and you don't realize the impact that loss of life has until you go and I haven't seen this personally, but what you're describing, Jack, is you see the family, you see the survivors, and I think it's one of those situations I wish the country could see that image, that scene, because you understand then what that sacrifice means, you know, to that family, to those people. I guess it's a segue here to the next question, and I think you may have answered it already, Jack. So I'll start with Chuck and come back to you. When you think back on all the years you've spent doing this, when you think of, you know, the most impactful thing, and again, I know it's hard to put your finger on one thing, but the most impactful thing that you remember, you know, over the course of that time, what would you say that is?
The relationships that I was able to have with not only the people that run Chapter 7, but other people in the Police Unity Tour, just that brother sisterhood that we have. It is the relationships. Yeah. It's the knowledge that I've actually done something to help those families and those survivors. But it is so much more how much interpersonal relationships that I've had. There's people that I met that I never would have met in my little cocoon here in Southern California. We talk about the Jersey boys.
Yep.
We talk the other people, even in the chapter. There's police officers. A couple of them may have seen me from other jurisdictions at a call or stuff, but I'm old. I have a terrible memory, so I don't remember everybody, but I have now built relationships with them. We talk about Bob Bloor being one of them.
Oh, he's a gem.
There's tons of people that I have met and worked with on a common goal. And I think that's what I've gotten most out of being involved in the Police Unity Tour. And yes, I'm going to miss it. I'm missing it today.
Yeah, because we're talking about it.
It's
and all this good stuff.
Yeah. It's my time to hand it off to the younger generation.
Yeah.
Going back to you, Jack, I have a hard time imagining there's a more impactful thing to be a part of than what you just described. But is there one, or is it kind of what Chuck was talking about?
It's what Chuck talks about.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, it's such a big part of it. You know, you're doing it a good thing for these families and for people that you knew and remembering them, and for people you didn't know. You know that. But man, the relationships, the Jersey boys are the great example. Bob Bloor, oh my gosh. I was training for my first Unity tour, and I bumped into Bob, who I knew. He was a K-9 handler in Beverly Hills, and I had been at training days with him when I was in K-9, but we hadn't seen each other in a long time, even though he lived 2 blocks from me. Just didn't cross paths, and we crossed paths on the bike path, and the rest is history. I've ridden tens of thousands of miles with Bob Bloor. He has, I've been on his wheel more times than I care to remember. I mean, he carried me on rides. And that friendship I value. It's one of the things I miss most about SoCal is Bob. And there's the relationships. It's so true, Chuck. It's just so true. And many of them were just one time a year, like the Jersey boys. You'd see them one time a year, and it was like, it just took off where you left it, you know, Mike, Bayonne Mike, our mechanic, Mike, the mechanic. Mike, what a special guy. I mean, known him for years now. We've seen him grow. You know, he was a teenager and now he's a dad. You know, it's so cool. So cool.
Mike was a kid that was caught by a police officer in New Jersey. Maybe not exactly following the law, but this police officer decided he was going to take Mikey under his wing and help straighten him out. Through that, he ends up on the Police Unity Tour because he's a bicycle mechanic.
Yeah.
They put him with Chapter 7 with us. And Jack, Bob, me, the other crew, the Jersey boys, he becomes like our son. In fact,
he's our
Bob
kid.
Blur considers him his son.
Yeah. Yep.
And he helps every year out of the goodness of his heart. We've worked through life with him to where he's got married. He has a couple of kids now, and he is the greatest citizen, the greatest person. I wish he would become a police officer.
Me too.
But it's just unbelievable. Can I tell a story about Bob Blore that I think will enhance all this?
Yeah,
all Bob Blur stories are in play on the Hangar Z podcast.
I asked him for permission.
Oh, you did?
So
it's that bad.
And this has to do with relationships. 2 years ago, so there's a small group of support people that go to New Jersey about 4 or 5 days early. We're buying the food at Costco. We're getting the rental cars. We're squaring away the hotel. We're putting together the welcome packages. We got all these jobs to do. Bob and I are part of that with a few others. So this year, we get all our work done, and we're always being bugged by the New Jersey boys. And there's a leader. His name is Stu. And I know Stu's going to be watching this, and we love you, Stu, but you're the leader. You're the instigator. Stu's badgering me. Come on, let's go for a ride. Come on, I want to take you guys for a ride. Let's go for a ride. And I'm like, well, is Gil going to get upset that we're going to leave in the afternoon? So it's always a last minute thing where, hey, Gil, we got anything doing this afternoon? No, we got all our work done. Hey, we're going to go for a ride. So Stu comes over and there's 5 of us in some small little piece of junk car that Stu has. 5 of us, and there's 3 bikes that are on a bike rack in the back that are really nothing more than a couple of what probably looked like either crap aluminum bike rack setup. We put our bikes on there. Now, we have been riding a long time, so the 3 of us have some fairly pricey bikes, usually $5,000 to $8,000 bikes, right? By the time they're tricked out. Put them on there. Stu's going to take us over to his house where we're going to go start this bike ride at. We're on the freeway, and he's the cop, and he's going back and forth all over the place. We get to Stu's house, and we're crammed. 3 of us are crammed in the back seat. Me, Bob, and Jerry Solon. I get out because I'm on the edge, and I roll out, and I go look at the bikes, and I go 1, 2. Wait, 1, 2. We're missing bike 3.
I know.
It's gone. And it's Bob Blur's bike, probably the most expensive. And Bob is very fanatical about his bike.
Very.
It's gone. I go, 1, 2. Hey, Bob, your bike is gone. So we jump on the road, start retracing our routes. I'm on the phone calling the hotel, some people that I know at the hotel. Hey, get out on the street and see if the bike is anywhere nearby the hotel and stuff like that. We end up calling the local PD or state troopers to see if they have the report of a bike being on the freeway anywhere. There's nothing. There's nothing. Bob's about ready to kill all of us, kill Stu because of the piece of crap bike rack that he has on it. And so we're making these notifications. Meanwhile, hey, we're still going to go for a ride. So Stu's, Jay is with us, has an extra bike, and Jay gives Bob his bike. We get it fixed up, and we're riding. And while I'm riding, I'm getting phone calls. I get a phone call from Gil Curtis, who's the president. And we don't want to tell him anything because he's stressed out anyway, and he's going to yell and scream and stuff like that. He says, hey, did you guys lose a bike? Like, who's asking? He says, I got a phone call from the national chapter, chapter 1, a guy named Harry Phillips, who's like second in charge. They found a bike a bike was found, and it's got a sticker on it, and we think it's a Bob Blur's bike. Hey, Gil, give me that phone number. Along comes, right? So here's the story. The bike comes off on the freeway somewhere. It hits the shoulder and bounces over to a road down below off to the side. A painter comes by in his van. He sees the bike, goes by it, and says, hey, that looks like it was a good bike. He goes back to pick it up because he's going to keep it. He picks the bike up, put it in the van. He gets home and he looks at it, and there's a bike organizations in Southern California for police officers. And he recognizes that it's a police officer's bike and so forth. And so he happens to be working for a New Jersey policeman painting his house. So he calls the guy and says, hey, I found this bike. I think it has something to do with the police officers. And he's sort of aware of the Unity Tour, but not really. So he finds Bob's name on the bike somewhere, gives it to that New Jersey cop who knows that the Unity Tour is taking place. He calls the main office, Chapter 1, and says, hey, we found Bob Blur's bike, blah, blah, blah. So we call the guy, and the guy has a little bit of an accent, it's a little communication issue. And I'm like, okay, well, sir, can we come over to your house and pick up the bike? Well, he doesn't want that. Okay, can we meet somewhere? So we make a determination to meet at a Home Depot. And he's suspicious of us. We're suspicious of him. We meet at the Home Depot, and there's Bob's bike with a little bit of damage to it. And he gives us the bike, and Bob tries to give him $100 bill for finding the bike. And the man says, no. He says, I know that what you're doing for police officers. He says, and I support that. You keep your money.
That's great.
And
great story.
It all has to do with the relationships that we have and the impact that we put on the communities that we work in.
Yep. Yeah. And those relationships are so important. You know, we talk about networking as a part of all the things we do and how important that is over the course of your career. What you guys are describing is just that, you know, developing these networks and relationships that benefit you, the community, and our industry as a whole.
Can I add one other thing to that story? And Bob reminded me of it yesterday.
Yeah.
So Bob's on a loaner bike for that tour. We meet at RFK Stadium, and now we have 2,200 people at RFK Stadium. There's about 65 porta potties in the back of the parking lot. Bob goes over to the bathroom. He comes out of the bathroom, and a guy looks at him and says, "Are you Bob?" And Bob says, "Yeah." He says, well, it was the police officer's house that was being painted.
Oh.
Just so happened.
I didn't know that part.
To meet in the parking lot.
That's unbelievable.
That's cool. Yeah.
That's amazing that he found Bob. I mean, it's hard to find anybody because everybody's dressed the same.
Yeah.
You know? I remember being asked one time in the parking lot at RFK. It might have been my first one where somebody came up. It was a CHP commander. And she said, hey, do you know where Jim McDonald is? I go, yeah, he's right over there. She goes, where? I go, he's in a blue jersey right over there. And I walked away. And, and she was not happy with me. She said, no, that's very funny. Because it's a sea of blue jerseys. Everybody, thousands of people look exactly the same. There's no way that you can see who's who. It's amazing he found Bob. That's great.
Well, Jack, before we close out, any final thoughts and words of advice for folks that might want to join this program?
Just that everybody should consider it. You know, if you're even thinking about it, you should probably do it. Even if you just do it once, you don't have to do it 15 times like Chuck and be the lead rider and the sergeant of arms and all that stuff. You can just do it once. Chuck doesn't know what I'm about to say. The other day, I heard from someone, a mutual friend of ours, Joe Vida, is going to do it next year. He's a canine handler from years ago. Joe's been retired for ages, and he messages me and says, "Hey, what do I gotta? You know, I'm doing the Unity Tour next year. I got to do it." Joe is probably, what was he, about when you came on the job, he probably came on about the same time as you, Chuck, probably, right?
Yes, our careers crossed, but never met.
I mean, Joe's
we never
late
worked the same
60s,
unit together.
right? Joe's late 60s,
right?
And he's going to do it. And I said, Joe, good for you. He says, I have to. I've been wanting to do it for years. And now, I see all the posts about it. And Joe's he's like us. He's very dedicated to the profession and remembering people, and he's going to do it. And I just said, man, that's incredible, Joe. Good for you. If there's anything I can do, to give you advice. But he's getting good advice already from the Unitour chapter. And so anybody can do it. You should do it at least once. You'll probably get addicted. It's like crack. That's the crack addict right there. 15. Yeah. I mean, it's an amazing event. Something to consider.
Yeah.
Chuck, for you, any last thoughts or closing words?
I want to give the website for Chapter 7. It's SoCalPut.com. And feel free to go there to start your search. We have links to the other chapters. So far this year, the registration list is full. We do have a waiting list. It does fluctuate. They have about 500 names. We can only take 400 based on everything's based on the hotels, because we do long-term hotel contracts. So, and you can go with other chapters and other routes. So if you're interested in doing it, which both obviously Jack and I highly recommend, I'd like to thank you and Jack for promoting the Police Unity Tour and for inviting me on the podcast. I don't know if I gave any insight or any help. So if you've lasted this long, thank you. And we are all the brother and sisterhood of law enforcement. Thank you guys very much. And let's ride.
Love that closing.
Good way to end. Yeah.
Perfect closing. I'll just end by thanking you, Chuck, for taking a significant amount of time out of your schedule to talk about ways that air crews could better themselves when it comes to the perspective of the customer, understanding what the customer needs and wants. And then for all the things you did outside of work to honor the folks that have paid the ultimate sacrifice in our profession. And that's something that obviously we hope never happens. And unfortunately in our career, it's something that doesn't seem to stop and doesn't seem to be getting any better as we go. And we see the stats, and the stats are sobering, and you've spent a significant amount of time, and Jack, you have too, honoring those folks and raising awareness and honoring the family members and the survivors that are affiliated with those line of duty deaths. So thank you for that. And look forward to seeing you in person at some point and raising a toast to the folks that we're promoting here. So thanks again, Jack. Anything that you want to throw in there as we walk out? I know I've already asked that, but
yeah, well said, John. It's really it's important that we remember our fallen. We just can't forget that. We just cannot forget that. We owe it to the families that's who we're really helping. We can't help the officers that are lost. It's behind us. It's beyond what we can do for them. But what we can do is remember them, honor them, tell their stories. Like Chuck said, tell about their lives and support their families. And we know firsthand that these families benefit from Police Week. We've heard it from the survivors. They tell us. You can see it, you can feel it, and they tell you how important that is. So we just all got to do our part. Find a way to do your part to keep it going, keep their memories alive, and support those survivors.
Love it. Well, thank you, gentlemen. And on that, thank you for listening to the Hangar Z Podcast. Thank you, Team HM Publishing, for making this all possible. These kind of conversations are changing the industry and just so valuable. So thank you, Mike and Linda Reno. To our editors, Rob and Dave, the work you guys do behind the scenes is absolutely amazing. So thanks to MHM Publishing again. And until next time, we'll catch you later.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Hangar Z Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more stories that promote the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation. Lastly, stand by for a message after a word from our sponsors. Cheers.
Thanks to our sponsor, Traca Systems. With over 25 years delivering groundbreaking searchlights, stabilized EOIR cameras, mission mapping, and downlinking solutions, Traca products improve situational clarity and coordination with ground crews, increasing mission safety and effectiveness. Visit tracasystems.com. See clearly, act decisively.
When every second counts, trust Night Flight Concepts to keep you mission ready. With advanced night vision technology, FAA certified repair services, and expert training, we've got your six. Visit nightflightconcepts.com to learn more.
Thank you to our sponsor, Precision Aviation Group. Mission-critical operators and fleet managers rely on Precision Aviation Group as a worldwide leading rotor and fixed-wing MRO provider. PAG provides tip-to-tail solutions in 4 MRO segments: avionics, components, engines, and manufacturing DER services. A single point of contact gives you access to over 150 million in inventory globally, 24/7. Just call 800-537-2778. Precision Aviation Group. Others sell parts. We sell support.
Thank you for listening to the Hangar Z Podcast. This 3-episode series was a lot of fun to record. Chuck is a fantastic ambassador for our profession and has an amazing amount of real-world experience in a variety of positions, even into retirement. His customer perspective is important for all of us to hear. In my old unit, we always stressed the word support in Air Support Division. It's not about us. It's not our call. It's not our pursuit. We're there to support the customer in any way we can. To do that, we must talk to our customers and find out exactly what they need and what they don't need from us. The more we do that, the better service we provide. When that happens, we become essential to their mission and not just a luxury. You've heard that line before. Join us in pledging to do all we can in honoring our fallen brothers and sisters in law enforcement. Find a way to act on that pledge. Consider looking into the Police Unity Tour in your region. For more information, go to policeunitytour.com. Stay safe, and we will catch you the next time on the Hangar Z Podcast.